This happened to me in the summer of 2015. I was dating a guy who lived in the city, and I was living at home at the time in the suburbs. Neither of us had a car, and since I lived at home with my bedroom right next to my grandma's, I always went to him. I'd take the subway to his place every week and stay for the couple of days I had off from work. To get to his apartment required taking 2 trains. One day I was headed to see him. It was super hot out and I was wearing a skirt with straps, a crop top, and knee-high socks. I wanted to look cute. I guess I feel this is important, as I probably stood out in this outfit, and unfortunately, I probably should have been more careful about what I was wearing, which sucks, now that I think about it. Anyway, I'm on the first train, and after a few stops, I notice a man get on. I kind of couldn't not notice him, as he chose to stand right in front of me, where I was sitting, and stare at me, rather than take an empty seat. It made me feel weird. The man in general gave me a very creepy vibe. He was probably in his 40s, looked unkempt, but otherwise kind of just a basic-looking white guy whose face I can't even picture now. So I get off at the last stop and head through the station to where I need to catch the second train, but I notice this guy is following me, which at first I figured wasn't a big deal. He could have been just going to the same place. So to get to the platform, you have to go up some stairs, and I realize he's right behind me. I decided to turn around and go to a different platform, which happened to be packed with people. Thinking if he follows me, then this is bad, but maybe I can lose him in the crowd. He follows me, and I try to duck out of view before going back to the actual platform I needed to be waiting on. I get there, and for a few minutes I feel better, until I see him again. He must have known I'd be there after I'd gone up there and then turned around. Plus, it was the only other platform, and he most likely saw me the entire time. There weren't too many people waiting compared to the other side, but a few trains came that were so full that I didn't bother to try to get on, and neither did he. The whole time I was texting my boyfriend, who is not taking me seriously at all. I asked that he would at least meet me at the station when I got to the stop by his apartment, about a 5-minute walk away. He was reluctant, but eventually agreed. At this point though, I'm still waiting for a train. One comes that's very full, but I'm getting restless, and want to get to a safe place, so I squeeze in, and so does the man right next to me, with his arm over me. I decide that even with all these people around, I'm not safe. So right before the doors close, I hop out and the train leaves with the guy on it, staring at me as it pulls away. I waited for a few more trains to come and go, worried that the guy would be waiting for me at the next stop or something. I get on the train finally, paying attention to everyone who got on at each stop. He never did, and I made it to my stop, greeted by my boyfriend, who seemed put out by having to walk over. He's now an ex-boyfriend and was generally kind of shitty. I'm really proud of myself for getting off that train at the last second. I don't know how much danger I was in, but I know that man was following me, and definitely wasn't for any wholesome reason. And despite being in public, I feel like that if he tried anything, no one would have done shit, and I'm very small and not a strong person. Here's a brief background. I used to work at a fast food restaurant and would do the graveyard shift every weekend. After every shift at 5 a.m., I would walk to the train station and catch the train home. Usually by then, there are your typical drunk people and morning crazies. Usually, I'd sit on the first seat of the train so that I could take a moderately comfortable nap on my 1-hour journey home. But that day, I wasn't super tired and decided to take a window seat to watch the sunrise. After a while, I noticed a guy sitting behind me talking to himself. So I had turned off my music to listen to him and see what he was saying. I always do this because I listen to a lot of crime podcasts, not that anything usually happens. So in the beginning, I could hardly hear what he was saying, but as the train ride went on, the louder he got. Halfway through, I heard him say, "The bitch is ignoring me." And with that, I assumed he was talking about someone he was texting or something like that. But then I could hear a creaking of his seat as he moved forward, right up next to my ear, and said, "You look pretty." All I could do was turn my head and look out the window while humming a tune, pretending that my music was still on. After that, he leaned back into his seat and kept cussing me out. And I was getting increasingly worried as this man hadn't stopped cussing me out since he leaned back into his seat. I decided to go on with my normal routine of calling my mom so she could get me from the train station. Since I speak another language, it was easy for me to explain what had happened, and I asked her if she could hurry up so she could get there when my train arrived. There was just one stop left before mine, and the man was still in his seat behind me, but he had become increasingly more aggressive since I had ignored him. This time he was saying things like, "She has pretty fingers. I can't wait for her to get off that train, and I'll teach her not to ignore me." I truly hoped that he would have gotten off that stop before mine, but that didn't happen. While we pulled into the last station on the line, I slowly gathered my things and started to get up as my doors opened. I had made the mistake to glance behind me as I was getting off, and I saw the man holding massive bolt cutters. As soon as he saw me, he yelled, "I'll cut your fingers off, you bitch," and began to chase after me. Luckily, as soon as I ran up the stairs, the man had stopped the chase to catch his breath. I ran across the platforms and I saw the man once again. He just pointed and laughed. I never saw him again after that.